What's the matter, Hangman? Can't sleep?
Cowboy shit!
I need my older brother!
Who the fuck is Griff Garrison?
You are now listening to Dark Side of the Elite with Randy Charpentier, Eric Reed, and Matt Roberts.
Shittiest year of my 35. Yeah.
Exactly. So this week's episode is a special episode of Dark Side of the Elite. We're doing a 2020 best of year cap. So let's get it started. What was your... We'll just talk about the year in general. Do you guys have any big ups that really made you pop or get excited or anything? What was your favorite moment of the year? We don't have this category, so let's try that.
Favorite moment of the year. Who wants to go first?
We'll start with Cole. Today we got Cole here today.
Yeah. I guess we should say, we have my cousin Cole Hardy making his return to the podcast today. Guitarist from Nightwell. Welcome back to the pod, Cole.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm glad to be back. Had a lot of fun last time, so I was happy to do it again.
That's nice. We got like Randy said, a 2020 roundtable, AEW and BTE year in review. So we have a few categories, a lot of typical ones you hear. Best male performer, female, best match, angle. We'll go through each one as we go along here, but we'll get things started. Like Randy said, I'll let Randy introduce the first category here.
Yeah, sure. So we'll start off with best male performer. So to all of us, who is the one wrestler that stood up male for you all year? And we will start with you, Matt.
I have Jon Moxley for the year. He was undefeated starting 2020. He went 18 months straight undefeated in AEW. Won the world title from Chris Jericho at Revolution back in February. There's a great angle with him in the inner circle, losing the eye, winning the title from Jericho. He defended it in some great hardcore brawls. Like a theme with Moxley this year was like those hardcore street fight type matches. And he defeated some big boys this year. Brody Lee, he beat. Lance Archer, he beat in title matches. He had a big feud with MJF that a lot of people, including myself, I thought MJF was going to win the title off of him. I think that was at All Out, was it?
Yeah, that's correct.
So he beats MJF, and he has a great match in what I kind of feel is right at the top of a potential feud of the year with Eddie Kingston. The promos that Jon Moxley put together this year were unbelievable start to finish. Very succinct, very legit sounding, no bullshit. Comes across very real, and him and Eddie Kingston going toe-to-toe on the mic was some of the best mic work AEW had this year. And his year so far has kind of come to an end with losing the title to Kenny Omega in the match on Dynamite. Winter is Coming, not that long ago. So all in all, top to bottom, well, I don't think he had maybe the single best match of anyone, but I thought his whole body of work, start to finish, as the face of AEW, my pick was Jon Moxley.
Good pick. And I guess I'm going to follow suit with that. I also picked Jon Moxley just because of his streak that he had this year. The promos were excellent. Non-Dean Ambrose-ish. So all around, guy went undefeated except for one match. Jon Moxley definitely is the one. And what about you, Eric?
I actually picked Adam Page. Only because,
good choice too.
I mean, yeah, he kind of had like a bit of a shitty year in terms of his record. Like he kind of got dicked around a lot this year. But like, I mean, he was tag team champs with Kenny, right? And not to mention, it kind of, I don't know. I think the whole Hangman as a whole character is starting to come together now, like very recently. So I think maybe there would have been a better pick for next year, but I still think he had some of the most entertaining matches this year, in my opinion.
Great choice. I had him as an honorable mention there too. What about you, Cole?
Well, mine might actually work better for going forward in 2021, but I actually picked Kenny Omega just for what kind of what you were saying, Eric, about all of his matches with Hangman as the tag champs, and to cap it all off, winning the title at the Winter's Coming pay-per-view, and that really sort of sparked my interest back into watching, like, viewing it on the time schedule on Wednesday nights instead of just looking up highlights, because I was so intrigued to see what was going to happen next. I actually tuned into Impact for the first time in, I don't know, 8 years. So
Yeah, same here.
Me too.
Yeah.
So he really sparked my interest at the end of the year here. So I think I had to give it to Kenny Omega.
Good choice too. All these are great choices. Good choices. So next we'll go up and I'll pick first top female performer. And trust me, for AEW, to me it was very, very hard to pick. So I had to look all around. My pick is Britt Baker. Britt Baker from the start of the year, the end of the year, got better and better and better. The Rowdy Piper, Britt Baker segments on AEW Dark were great. Her wrestling got better and better and better. Sheeta was a close second just because she was the champ and she had it for so long. But I had to go with Britt Baker just because I enjoy watching her now. At the beginning of the year, I didn't. So Britt Baker was my number one. So next up would be you, Eric.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you say Sheeta because that was my pick, was Sheeta. Or the chick who dresses up like Freddie Mercury. She was pretty awesome, too. I'm just kidding. She has no, obviously Sheeta. I mean, she's been the champ for the latter half of the year anyways.
Yeah, since May.
Yeah, and so, like, I mean, she's been pretty dominant as far as the women's division goes. Like, I get they're trying to make her look big and, like, because she's, like, I get it. She's, like, a smaller woman. You know what I mean?
Hey!
So.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no yeah, it's I don't know. It's very strange. It's very strange how, like, their women's division is going, to be honest. But I think Sheeta has been far and between. Oh my God, let me take that again. Between few and far, as the best female wrestler this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Like I said, she was my second runner-up on that, just because she was champ. And she did do some good matches too. So it was really, really hard to pick on this one though. How about you, Cole? Who is your top female performer?
Yeah, sorry about that. My dogs were kind of going nuts over there. Britt Baker probably has to be the top female performer because she was just entertaining for a division that really didn't have much going on all year long. She was actually something I had to pay attention to. Oh God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
It's all right, bro. It's all right.
But I will say lately, Abaddon has actually really sparked my interest. Just she's kind of got that whole like female Undertaker thing going on. I think that's really cool. I'm looking to see what she does in 2021.
Yeah, I think definitely she'll be one to look out for next year.
I think,
especially with what's going on.
I think if they end up getting like someone like Rosemary, then I don't know if Abaddon's gonna fit the whole mold after that, right? But I do like her. I like her because she's that sort of character, the really cool, like the face paint and like the crazy, and they're really making her look strong with like Sheeta shitting her pants every time she sees her. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
She's like genuinely terrifying, like more so than like anything Undertaker or something did. It like really gives me that like Grudge vibe or The Ring.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So the last pick for top female performer would be Matt. Looking forward to Matt's reaction. Who do you pick, Matt?
You know what? A lot like what you said, Randy. I kind of had a tough time with this one. The AEW women's division hasn't been super compelling at all, like even right from the inception of AEW. And Britt Baker for me was the most like entertaining on the mic, but I couldn't pick her for the amount of time she missed with her injury, and that tooth and nail match with Big Swole was just so god awful. That was so awful that it disqualified her for me right there. I was thought about Thunder Rosa, but To me, she still fit more as an NWA talent, not necessarily an AEW one. So I went with Hikaru Shida as well. She defeated Nyla Rose a couple times, including for the title and like no count out, no disqualification match back at Double or Nothing. She's been the main representative of the AEW women's divisions pretty much the whole year. And while she hasn't been exactly blessed with the greatest booking or angles or opponents, I thought she's been the face of the division and managed to have, like, kind of generally speaking, the most quality matches of any woman under contract at AEW. So I kind of went with Hikaru Shida as kind of the safe pick as like the face and champion of AEW this year.
All around good picks. All around. Well, I guess we were more or less the same, half and half across the board.
Mm-hmm.
That's
there wasn't
pick.
too much to choose from, right? Like, I guess you could have said maybe Nyla Rose, but it was kind of limited. And again, like Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb had great showings this year too, but I guess they were more NWA talent on Dynamite.
Right. So that'll bring us up to the next, and this one I want to see what you guys see, or see or say. Top tag team of AEW this year. First to pick is Mr. Eric. Who did you pick, Eric?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I picked with my heart on this one, and I picked Butcher and the Blade. I mean, I'm a big Butcher guy, right? So, he's definitely number one in my eyes. But, I mean, you can't really deny either two, like SCU or TH2. Because they've been very, very big this year. But my overall pick is Butcher and the Blade for sure.
Interesting pick.
Yeah.
Interesting pick. How about you, Cole? You're second on the docket.
You can't go wrong with the Young Bucks. They've always performed like the best matches of the year, which we'll come to a little bit later in the episode. But I'm just picking Young Bucks because they kill it every time. They've been entertaining on a little bit on the BTE side and just in their matches in general.
Every match is a good match with the
Yes.
Young Bucks. And Matt, I'm looking forward to hearing yours too. Who did you pick?
I went with Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. From winning the titles on the Jarrett Cruz against SCU to what I considered to be the best tag team match of the year against the Young Bucks at Revolution last year. I think Dave Meltzer even gave that like a 6-star rating and considered it like the greatest tag match of all time. And obviously, between the Young Bucks and Kenny and Hangman, that's quite the props for those guys. And they defended the titles for the next few months in great matches. I think SCU, Lucha Brothers, Les Sex Gods, Jericho and Sammy, and all the while having the most compelling storyline too between the two, slowly but surely planting the seeds for that Hangman leaving the Elite, Kenny's slow turn to being a heel, the breakup from the Young Bucks breakup of the Elite with the Young Bucks and Hangman. Like Hangman cost the Young Bucks their title match, leading to the FTR versus Kenny and Hangman match. And while I kind of thought that the Kenny Hangman versus FTR match at All Out wasn't quite as good as I was hoping, I just think their overall work through the whole year when it comes to character storytelling, match quality, and just being a compelling act to watch, I thought Kenny and Hangman were the best team this year. And there was a lot of great teams in AEW, so it was not really an easy pick. But I just thought when you took into account the storyline that went behind it, not just the matches, that's what put it over the top for me.
Good pick. But guess what, guys? I think we all picked somebody different this year. My overall pick were the Best Friends.
Nice.
And I'll tell you the reason why. These guys wrestled over 27 times in a tag this year. During COVID, when COVID first hit, they were the team that worked week after week, put the great storyline together with the Inner Circle, the Proud and Powerful, and every match was entertaining. Like, I would even put that Proud and Powerful Best Friends match almost near the match of the year.
The Backlot Brawl?
The Backlot Brawl, yeah.
That was
that
right
was
up
awesome.
there. That was awesome match.
So I picked, not because they should have been champs this year, but I picked them for the best tag team of the year for all the work that they did. It was constantly in the storyline, Orange Cassidy get involved, everything else. Best friends to me were definitely the workers or tag team of the year. Don't get me wrong, Young Bucks, Hangman Page, even Butcher and the Blade. They all worked hard this year too, but I think just Best Friends put the most
Best
work
Friends
in.
was a great glue team. You could throw them in there with anyone, and they were kind of a glue tag team that kind of kept the whole division together this year. I think that's a great pick, Rand. So
Thanks.
Yeah.
So that'll bring us up to the next one. Best match of the year, male. And I want to ask you guys first, is it just male or it can be two males, so on and so forth? Because I think we're very vague on it.
it
But
doesn't
we'll
have to be a singles match, just whatever you think the best match is, I guess, for the men's side.
okay, fantastic. So
Yeah,
first,
any combination of matches, fatal four-way, tag, whatever, right?
fantastic. So with our first pick is Cole. Cole, I'm looking forward to hear this.
Yeah, well, a little hint from before. My match of the year was at Revolution. It was the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Adam Page. It kind of played off the Golden Lovers match that they had the year before.
Yeah, when they did New Japan down in the United States in California.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of played off of some of the emotions on that match, and it just the tease of the breakup between Kenny and Adam, like who was gonna turn heel. Everyone kind of thought Adam was, and it kind of had that moment at the end of the match where it looked like he was gonna do the lariat. He just kind of leaned back on the rope, and it just kind of got everyone really questioning like who was gonna turn, and it sucked me right in. That match was amazing.
Yeah.
So that's my match of the year.
Good great choice.
So next up will be you, Matt.
I was very close to picking that same match myself, and but I went a little bit of a different direction just because this is one match I've watched maybe 3 or 4 times this year, just because I wanted to go back and watch it again. I thought it was that good, and I'm going with Kenny Omega versus Pac in the 30-minute Iron Man match they had on Dynamite. This match had it all. It was an unbelievable display of athleticism, psychology. 2 of the greatest workers going, playing off Pac beating Kenny Omega at the previous year's All Out. It had everything. I believe it even went. Did it go overtime? But I'm saying I watched it a couple times. But for me, that match was the best match that any 2 performers had this year. Was the 30-minute Iron Man match on Dynamite. I think it was back in February 26th. If anyone wants to go back and watch it, this match was absolutely unbelievable. And just it was a match that could have been on like Wrestle Kingdom or any top New Japan like card. It was, to me, it was the standout match of the year, with the honorable mention to that Kenny Hangman versus Young Bucks match, because I was really torn between those 2.
Good pick. That comes to mind. I also picked. Well, I was stuck because I didn't know, but I actually put both of these matches on the exact same level. I wouldn't necessarily say it was 6-star like David Meltzer said, but I picked Kenny Omega and Hangman versus the Young Bucks at Revolution. Just because it is what it was. Everybody was looking forward to it. The second one that tied with it, because I was so intrigued by the storyline, was the Kenny versus Adam Page. That was probably my favorite singles match. So both of them are like right on par with it. So I'm glad we sort of had this category where I asked like how to straighten it out. But yeah, those were two great matches, and probably my favorite matches in a while as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what about yourself, Eric?
I actually have Page and Omega at Full Gear, only because I think that kind of summed up the whole storyline with Page and Omega. How Kenny was going heel, because I mean it wasn't necessarily Kenny the cleaner, like, you know what I mean, but it was very much pushing towards that, it's brother against brother and you're out of the elite, stuff like that, And I mean, I've been very invested in that storyline for years now. You know what I mean? So
Me too.
I think it was a good wrap up for sort of like to be like, okay, Hangman's on his own now. You know what I mean?
And you always have that to go back to now that Kenny's the champ again.
Exactly.
Or not again, but now that Kenny's the champ, you have that kind of storyline seed planted there for the next time they kind of come back together.
That's right. That's right. Now, I guess that ends up. That was good. I liked all the matches that everyone picked there. I think now it comes to probably the hardest one I had to pick through. So
yeah, me too.
Best match of the year, female. So first up on this, Matt, I want to see what you pick, or I want to see what everybody picks.
Yeah,
it was really hard for me.
I did a little bit of research on this to kind of make sure I had an educated pick, and I actually rewatched this earlier today before doing this show, and I went with Serena Deeb versus Thunder Rosa on Dynamite on November 18th, and it was an NWA women's title match. Serena Deeb defending the title and retaining in a match against Thunder Rosa. And honestly, the fact that this match between two NWA performers for their title on Dynamite kind of sums up why it was difficult to pick such a great match this year. Because the AEW women themselves, I don't know if through like bad booking, bad angles, or just for whatever reason, the AEW women's division still hasn't totally found its footing. But these two girls, Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb, came on the Dynamite, and they had a couple matches that were just absolutely blow away. Great technical matches, hard-hitting, high-impact spots that told a good story in 12, 15 minutes. And I thought Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa was the best female match that AEW produced this year, and it was for the NWA Women's Championship.
Good pick, Matt. I'm almost on the same vote as you, but I actually picked, just because I was so intrigued by the storyline and it not happening for a bit, I picked Sheeta versus Thunder Rosa at All Out. Again, it was very hard in order to pick it, just for what there was. That Serena Deeb, Thunder Rosa was good, so again, I picked that just for being so intrigued in that storyline and seeing it happen. Like, somebody came over from NWA, and I was really like, I'm a Thunder Rosa fan, so seeing her come over was great to see too. So that's the reason why I picked that match. So next we will go to Eric. Eric, what did you pick?
Well, I actually have, I have two choices, and they're very completely different. I did like Sheeta versus Nyla at Full Gear. I mean, Full Gear, in my opinion, is probably my favorite pay-per-view for this year in general.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a bad match. I mean, you had Vicky Guerrero out there yelling at Nyla, you know what I mean? Like, kind of furthering the whole storyline about how she's in charge of Nyla, right? And stuff like that is pretty cool. But honestly, one match that really took me back was that I really thought was good was on Dark. I want to say it was in November, maybe, or like late October, and it was Serena Deeb versus Kylan King, and it was a very short match, but it was a very good technical match, and it was one of those matches where I was like, wow, like really taken aback by it. Like, I didn't really know much about Kylan King before that. I think that might have even been her debut, maybe, on AEW.
November.
Yeah, November. Like,
I think she's been around for a while. I think that match was like, I know she had like a losing streak, and she almost had like a Brandon Cutler, Peter Avalon one win, and she's on a. But yeah, she's a bigger girl too, right? Like a taller girl. So yeah, it's hard. A good choice. Now, what about you, Cole?
Honestly, I just wrote, I don't care.
Wow. Wow.
There's just nothing that stood out for me this year at all, really, with AEW's women's division. They haven't really put the time into actually develop any storylines. Even worse than main roster WWE. Like, as bad as that is to say, but like NXT is killing it with the women, and like AEW really needs to take some notes. Even if they just like added some segments on BTE and let some of the women just run wild.
Good idea.
Because it's always the guys, right? Like, I just feel like they don't give them the opportunity to create a storyline or character, and it's just, it was really exciting when this company started, and you had like, what's her name, Kama,
Awesome Kong.
Yeah, Awesome Kong come out and like that first women's battle royal. I was like, look at all these women, like all these awesome like future stars. And
Yeah,
they got
Riho
some,
was
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
But
yeah, and I loved
think.
all.
Sorry, go ahead, Cole.
I was just gonna say I love that they brought in all the women from Japan. I'm like, this is gonna be an amazing division, and it never seemed to come full like together. You know, I don't know. I've been really disappointed overall.
I agree with you on that, Cole. A lot of it has to do too. I think at the very beginning, or even when AEW started, like Brandy was in every type of storyline, and it sort of involved her. So every
Yep.
time that it kept dropping, they would put her in front, put her in front, put her in front. Don't get me wrong, I sort of get it or whatever, but when you're a promoter or social media, whatever it may be that her role is, you normally don't take that top spot role away from somebody. So that's the only thing I didn't like about that. And I just thought every storyline, I think there was 4 storylines this year that had to start and stop
Yeah,
just because of her. And I
Yeah,
think
Brandy went from babyface to heel and in 2-3 different factions in like a couple months. Like one week
Right.
she's cutting girls' hair off with like with Karma with her,
Yep.
and next week she's back to being Cody's like manager, and
I feel like
it was all
it
over
would
the
be like
place.
that.
Yeah.
I feel like they would do that like on the same episode. There was times where she would come out with Cody, then later in the episode she's, you know, part
Attacking
of the
someone.
yeah, part of the Nightmare Collective or something, and it was just like confusing and disjointed, and it was a mess.
So yeah, that's where I think it's sort of like the attention all going to her, or you're always seeing that attention. It took it away from what we should have been focusing on. So that's the other reason why I picked that Thunder Rosa, just because I was like, oh wow, somebody new, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean, somebody big, like
The
that could just
pandemic hitting too, like Riho hasn't been in AEW since the
Yeah.
pandemic hit, and I think a lot of talent they wanted to use overseas talent, they've been stuck and unable to get over there, right? So
Right.
it kind of ground the division to a halt, and like it's just been like everything kind of going through Sheeta with Nyla Rose and stuff, and that's why they've kind of gone to NWA talent to kind of bring in some good workers that can fill out the division, and it's kind of worked out. Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb, like they brought in some good girls that might otherwise have not got a shot. So, but it's kind of thrown a monkey wrench in. And also, like, I don't know if he still is or not, but I had always heard Kenny Omega was really overseeing the women's division, and he was getting a lot of criticism for how slow and sloppy and messy of a start it had. And I'm not sure if anything's changed with his role there or not, or if maybe they're adapting and getting a little bit better, because things seem to be improving compared to where it was. But
Yeah.
overall, yeah, it was definitely not a spectacular year and not a lot of great matches to choose from in terms of great female matches in AEW this year.
Good
Yeah,
points.
yeah. I was just gonna say I will say I've started to like enjoy what they've been doing with, like I said, Abaddon. I think there's something
Yeah.
they can actually tell there. You know.
Good points. Good points. So brings me to one of my favorite, I guess, points that we wanted to put up, or whatever nominations. Breakout Star of the Year male. Now, at first, I was like all one person. I was like Orange Cassidy. But then I sat back for a little bit and I really thought about it, like as a whole. So my breakout star of the male of the year is John Silver, and just for every single way, the wrestling on Dark, to the comedic stuff on BTE, to the progression on Dynamite in a whole, he's a guy that I'm not going to say he's going to win a TNT championship anytime soon, but I look forward to seeing him every week, and everybody now knows who he is. So that's why I picked him. So again, John Silver, pause up. It's great. Breakout star of the year. So that will come out to you, Eric. Who did you pick?
My breakout star of the year was honestly Darby Allin. Now, not necessarily a breakout star in general, but I think he got the push he sort of deserved this year. So
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Like I mean, he had a couple matches against Moxley, you know, because he's kind of like the hardcore guy. I kind of get that part, but like, I think the fact that, like, you know, he's TNT champion now, I think it all sort of worked out for a reason. I think it all came to a head for him later on in the year, and I think that's like full picture. I would say Darby Allin for sure.
Good pick. Good pick. And next to you, Cole.
I agree with you, Randy. I chose Silver because at the beginning of the year, I had no idea who he was, and now he's probably my highlight of wrestling. Like, right before we started recording, I was kind of doing a deep dive into a bunch of old episodes of BTE, and I was watching this week's episode with the Brody Lee tribute show, and God, like that guy just cracks me up, and his matches are insane. Some of those like fast action, like moments in the match he had with Orange Cassidy, just like blow my mind. Really hard hitting, but yeah, he's just been a highlight for me for the last 6 months.
Great pick. Great pick, Cole. What about you, Matt?
I went with Orange Cassidy this year. Biggest reason was his feud with Chris Jericho and how much that did to elevate him above comedy act, above mid card act. I just started to know about Orange Cassidy maybe a few months before AEW started. So I wasn't super familiar with him, and his introduction with the best friends in AEW, like my perception was, okay, the fans like him. He's funny. He's pretty entertaining, but I haven't seen him full blown in the ring working. Can he use this gimmick and be in championship title programs, or is it too much of just like an undercard thing? Entertaining, like nonetheless. And he really showed the world what he can do, that he can wrestle an exciting dynamic match and not just be, the sloth boy shin kicker or whatever that he was like kind of labeled as.
Right.
And Chris Jericho being able to or willing to work for like 4 or 5 months with this guy, putting him over twice, Cassidy beating Jericho 2 out of the 3 times they wrestled, I thought just elevated Orange into a main event spotlight, taking the best friends with them, because that best friends backlot brawl with Orange Cassidy coming out of the trunk against San and Ortiz, like Orange is feuding with Chris Jericho, they're feuding with the rest of the inner circle. Although, like, for breakout star, I think Orange Cassidy to the mainstream on TNT, that worldwide audience that had never seen him before, he was put right to the top of the card in a big way. And so that's kind of what made him my choice for a breakout star of the year for AEW.
Good choice, man.
I agree with your guys' choices too. John Silver is a great one because he is definitely right at the top of my list of like stuff I'm looking forward to, and so is Darby Allin. Darby Allin's matches with Cody specifically this year, and the stuff he's getting to do now with Sting puts him right up in that same kind of category, and both great selections still.
Yeah, everybody had good choices on that. Sorry, Cole, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I will say, someone that actually I was thinking in the back of my head as a pick, but didn't really make sense, was Brody Lee himself. Like, for a guy that had been in the business and been on, WWE for so long, we never really got to see him shine as a character outside of just some meathead beside Bray Wyatt. And his stuff on, like, when he won the TNT title and all the stuff he did with his papers on BTE, like, God, he really that's why this is the first time like a wrestler's death like it felt so cut so deep, because it was like this guy finally is like showing the world that he's like just the star he deserves to be, and like
his personality. He finally showed his personality and his humor and everything that everybody heard in the back, but we finally got to see, right?
I was totally agree with you.
He's in the prime of his life, in the prime of his career, to just be for this to happen. It's not like he was been retired for 15 years and people remember who he was and you're older like this. Like, he's only 41.
Yeah.
Like, man. Like, he was just getting going. Like, his stuff, that's a great point, like, about Brody Lee. Because he'd been established and wrestling fans knew who he was. So it's kind of, you don't think as a breakout star. He's been around for 10 years. But Brody Lee, that character, wasn't around for 10 years. And it did more for him in that, like, 6-7 months than anything Luke Harper ever did.
Yeah. As we're on the topic, I'm wearing my CM Punk shirt. There's 2 points for that. We're talking about Brody Lee. all the proceeds from CM Punk will go to his family for the next 2 months. And if you go to Pro Wrestling Tees, they're donating all of Brody's Elite profits to the family as well. So make sure you guys go to both of those stores and get whatever, so they can definitely see the future. But good points. Good points. Actually, I should have changed my pick now, thinking those points. But so here's a harder one too, I guess. And poor Eric gets started. It's Breakout Star Female.
Poor Eric.
Poor Eric, yeah.
I don't want to be too harsh.
I don't know. I mean, I went back and forth on this pick like a million times. I don't really know what to say. What I settled on was Big Swole, only because for the first half of the year, she was kind of just on Dark all the time, and then they sort of pushed her to have the match with Britt Baker, right, for the title. So they kind of pushed her to be like a bigger thing than she was, and she, like, you know, she was constantly beating people and this and that. Now, but like now, you haven't really heard anything about her since the whole match.
Ever since that tooth and nail match, she's kind of just been on Dark a little bit. She was getting a lot of promo time with like the golf cart and up with Britt Baker and Reba and stuff, right? She was very prominently featured the first half of the year.
Absolutely, and like she wasn't. When did she get signed? Like last year, like late last year, maybe like November or something. So I had her as breakout star only because she would look like she was on a trajectory to be the next champion.
That's true. I would agree with that. Yeah, it did seem that way. Her and Britt Baker seemed destined for like the top of the division, right?
I mean, things change obviously, but that was my pick.
And yeah.
Okay, good pick there, Eric. Now, what about you, Cole?
It was kind of a toss-up. Akira Shida really kind of became a main character this year, but I like the Spookies, so I had to go with Abaddon. Because I'm really into what she's doing right now. And I know it's kind of late in the year, but like I'm really interested to see what she's doing in 2021. And I hope they actually create a cool story around her, because I think she's awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, good pick. What about you, Matt?
I went with Thunder Rosa. I thought she was a cool cultural character that brought a lot of legitimacy to the division, because she's got a legit MMA background. She's got a cool look. I love the face paint. She's great in the ring. And I just thought she brought a lot of legitimacy to the division, and was definitely a standout in an AEW women's division that needed really good workers, people that were experienced and could carry like a great match. And I'd never heard of her at all, even at 2020 starting. I think I only ever really heard of her when there was the talk of her coming from NWA to Dynamite. Like, I'd maybe read the name online and stuff, but I'd never seen anything from her. And everything I did see this year, I was very impressed. And I think she's right at the top of AEW's best female performers.
I agree with you, Matt, on that. I've seen Thunder Rosa a lot perform and everything. And when she did come over, it was a big thing for me. Like all her stuff she does, she's just a phenomenal wrestler. To me, she's probably the second best women's wrestler in the world. But yeah, that's a good pick. But I went back again and I picked Britt Baker, just from how bad of wrestling she was at the beginning of the year to her promos and her stuff at the end of the year. I picked her. I think she was the breakout, because everybody was crapping on her at the beginning of the year, right? Yeah. For the wrestling, for her promos, and for her to come along that in such a short period of time, that to me is like a new breakout. So again, Britt Baker, but all these choices were really, really good. Again, we're all different, right? I should be writing these down.
Yeah.
Picks.
And honestly, everyone's explanation and the logic behind it, like, I could be easily swayed myself. So it's good. That means there's a lot of good talent, a lot of good things going on. So it's good.
Yeah. Now coming up to probably one of my next favorite categories that we have here is best angle of the year. And I'm looking forward to hearing all of these. Yeah. And the lucky person that got to start off this is Cole. So Cole, who do you got?
Kenny Omega turning on AEW.
Nice.
him winning the title and basically flipping off AEW and going over to Impact. I thought that this whole angle that they're doing right now with him and him joining up with his Bullet Club brothers has been just an awesome angle so far, and it really like got me back to watching like on Wednesdays instead of just looking up clips and stuff. So
Don Callis helps too, eh? It's good to
oh,
see him
Don
like
Callis, he is one of my guys. He's killing it. He is everything that a wrestling like color commentary kind of guy needs. He's carny, slimy awesomeness. I love him. Man.
the 80s, 90s slimy too right now. I like the whole thing about that, right? Because that's back. I don't know. I just like the whole thing. That's a great pick. Good choice there, Cole. Now next to you, Matt. I'm looking forward to this too.
I am echoing everything Cole just said. It's Kenny Omega turning on AEW, winning the title from Jon Moxley, getting Don Callis as his manager, becoming the belt collector, and beginning like his quest now to just start racking up world championships. AEW now working interpromotionally. It's opened up a whole world of wrestling that I think wrestling fans have fantasy booked in their own minds for years and years now. We were always stuck with just WWE and a TNA product that everyone was kind of done with. So it's really exciting. And being a huge Kenny Omega fan, seeing what he did in Japan and his relationship with Don Callis over there, and bringing that history now of Kenny Omega, best bout machine, best wrestler in the world, taking AEW's championship, and now is going to be like the Thanos of the wrestling world and just start collecting all the gold. It's the most compelling thing I've seen in a long time, and exactly what me as a wrestling fan who loves Kenny Omega would want to see. So that was easily it for me. And Don Callis flying a helicopter into Dynamite, like the whole thing. The reunion with the Bullet Club on Impact now, and plus it's just getting going. So that for me, at the end of the year, Steel's best angle for me.
Good choice again. That was my second pick of the year. I'm so excited about that. You guys know, talking to me every week. But I honestly think this will be like next year's best angle of the year because it's going to continue for a long time.
Yeah.
It started just a little late for me. But this other one I enjoyed in a whole, and I think you guys know where I'm going to go with this because every week as it came up to it, and after this one scene happened, I was sold. I think the MJF joining the Inner Circle, the Dinner Debonair,
Yeah.
was absolute. I was asked Eric. I popped. I like, did you see that? That was absolutely incredible. And you just look at me, really? You know what I mean? But I enjoyed everything. I enjoy everything about MJF, and I've enjoyed how it went along because it's been a couple of months since it's going, and it's still going on now. So it's been at least 6 months that this whole thing's been going on. So I picked that as the best angle of the year. Probably the second one, like you guys said, with Kenny Omega going over, as well as maybe the Adam Page Omega breakup. They're all so close. There's so many good things happening this year.
Can I say one thing about the MJF thing?
Sure.
The Dinner Debonair. It was a fun segment to watch, and I thought they did a great job with it. But is it something that, as a wrestling fan, you're ever like, oh, I want to go put this on and watch it again?
Yes.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
For me.
Okay.
For me, yeah.
Fair
I
enough.
thought it was great. Whoever thought of music, it like, remember how Cole just said earlier about being more carny? Like
Yeah.
doing something like that, like a musical, a spectacle. That's what always wrestling is to me. Everything, like a lot of people shit on me for this too. I love comedic
I agree
stuff.
with that. I like that part of wrestling too.
I like comedic stuff. I like carny-ish stuff, and I'm a big fan of it. Like even if you think of the Kenny Omega right now with the gimmick going on with the '80s Miami Vice or whatever you want to call it, that's sort of carny, no? Like Don Callis coming out with the Ray Bans.
Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone with that 78 like
right
mid-south background or whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you could even say it kind of reminds me of the Broken Universe stuff. It's like it's not like
they're breaking
serious.
all the rules. They're breaking a lot of the rules, and also like
Cole,
providing
say
that
almost,
nostalgia.
Yeah, it's like not based in reality, but like it's wrestling. It's none of it's based in reality, so you can kind of push that line and push that boundary, and as long as it makes me smile and laugh and go along with it, then it's great. I'll go back and watch it.
The truth is the truth, right, Cole?
The truth is the truth.
And with his pick is now Eric.
You know what's funny? How you said I was rolling my eyes at you before, but that was actually my pick for the best angle of the year was MJF joining the Inner Circle. Now,
What?
now that it's finally come full circle, I'm on board with it. I'll give it that. Like only because I think it kind of not that it necessarily legitimized MJF because he's always kind of been described as the new face of the company, right? And I wholeheartedly agree. He's going to be champion one day, and he's probably going to be like a Rock-esque champion where he's like, you know, he's got the mouth, he can wrestle, you know, he's going to be everything about that. But the thing is, I think it was just genius to get those two together, to get Jericho and him together. I thought for sure that would be too much personality, like, you know, at first, but it seems to be working out, and I do like the whole, like, they had the ultimatum. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that, they could really push every week.
Going to Vegas.
Yeah.
That's a prime example, because them going to Vegas, I watched it on Sammy G's vlog. It was fucking fantastic. It was, like, the funniest thing I've seen this year. Not better than BT, but it was still really good.
Yeah, I watched that the other day, actually. Yeah.
Jake Hager was entertaining.
Yeah, he was pretty good in it. They did like Vegas Cribs, where they kind of went through their hotel room like it was an episode of Cribs.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny, yeah.
Yeah, some good picks all around, man. I really enjoyed talking about this segment, too. So here comes to another one. We have two left, boys. So the next one is biggest surprise of the year. And we will start with Mr. Matt.
Okay, biggest surprise of the year. I had a couple. Can I throw two little honorable mentions out just quickly?
Sure.
I would quick honorable mention would be Brody Lee debuting as the Exalted One, because I thought it was going to be Matt Hardy for sure. And so when it finally was Brody Lee, I was kind of like, okay, I can kind of see it. He was like the big brute in the Wyatt family, now getting his own dark, evil faction to call his own. And it turned out to be so much better than I thought it would be, because like we talked about earlier, the Dark Order wasn't in a great spot at that time. And I was convinced that it was going to be Matt Hardy coming in and his broken universe would like integrate with the Dark Order. So that's the honorable mention. And the second one would be Brody Lee squashing Cody on Dynamite, winning the TNT title. I thought at minimum it would be a competitive match and most likely Cody winning. But neither of those happened, so that was number two. But number one for me is the Sting debuting on Dynamite this year. Funny story is like watching that, I had no idea it was coming, and I was waiting for Swiss Chalet to be delivered. And the doorbell starts ringing as Sting starts coming out, and like I'm getting yelled at, go answer the door, the food's here. I'm like, but I can't, Sting's on Dynamite. Oh my God, I didn't know. Just such like awful timing, and we're laughing about it after the delivery guy's waiting for me because I got to see Sting come out. But yeah, of all the like wrestling legit surprises where I kind of popped and had a smile and like didn't see it coming as like a mark or a fan or whatever, Sting coming out as a pure surprise would be number one for me.
Fantastic, good choice. And Swiss Chalet, you can sponsor us if you want. You know that. Right?
Yeah,
we all love our
last free ad you get.
We all love our Swissy. So I'm going. That's a really good pick. With the Sting, like hearing, like when he signed, or you heard something about him sign it, I think it was 2 weeks prior, but him coming out on that episode was completely a surprise. But I didn't pick that. We talked about it a little earlier. I picked the complete surgeons of Orange Cassidy, right, throughout the whole year as a surprise. I didn't think they were going to show it on TV this year. I saw Orange Cassidy in the past prior to AEW, and I knew he could wrestle. But at the beginning, if you watched him, he was more gimmicky, hands in the pocket type thing. And I didn't think they would show that he could wrestle as quick as he did, especially going into the Jericho match, even the Cody matches that they showed he could wrestle. So surprise of the year, again, AEW showing Orange Cassidy could wrestle that quick because people were on the bandwagon when he just had his hands in the pocket. So I thought they'd keep it going a little longer, but they didn't, and I'm glad they didn't. So that would be mine. What about you, Eric?
Oh my god, I pulled my notes down. Give me a second. I had the Sting debut as well. Only because I'm a big 1990s or 1990s. Yeah, I guess anywhere in the 90s like WCW fan. So for him to come out on AEW, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, you know what I mean? And we were sitting watching it, me and Tracy, and we start watching, and she goes, "I don't get the thing with the crow," and I'm like, "It's Sting." She's like, "No, like what Sting? Like from from the '90s thing?" I go, "Oh yeah, it's Sting. Trust me." We were laughing our ass off at it, but it was honestly like really surprising, and it kind of works back into my choice with Darby Allin being breakout star because I think him and Sting, I think they're gonna have something coming on in the future, in my personal opinion.
Imagine if Sting came up like with the Kenny Omega thing, Don Callis thing, Sting coming out like in Beach Sting. That would have been
Beach
funny to
Sting.
see.
Yes, I
That
want to
would've
see
been
Surfer
terrible.
Sting.
Yeah. Well, the beach thing's coming up for Dynamite, right? So the beach blast, wherever they go. You
Yeah.
never know. Maybe you'll see a different side of him that week. I doubt it.
I
Hope
should
not.
find.
I'm sure
There's a picture of me from Halloween '98 dressed total Crow Sting get up head to toe. I gotta find that and post that in the Facebook page.
Okay,
That was
cool.
part of the thing. I love like '97, '98 Sting when he turned like with him in the NWO. Like I watched that like as it was happening at like 13 years old or whatever. And so yeah, like for Sting to come out again, it does bring back the nostalgia vibes. It's just too bad he had the job to Triple H a few years ago at WrestleMania.
Well, same here.
Bastards.
That's kind of why it was the biggest surprise of the year for me because I was like, I know they were talking about it like ahead of time that he was going to be on AEW, but I was just like, oh my god, it's really real. It's crazy.
Yeah. How are they going to do it? So that comes to you, Cole. What's yours?
Well,
Cole's still there. Oh, he's frozen. Smiling.
I think we might have lost him.
Oh, I think we lost Cole here for a second.
It's okay.
We'll do the technical difficulties
Yeah.
little buff.
Ding, 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 ding.
Imagine if they do come out with like beach thing. I don't. They better. Don't do it. Let's not even put it.
I don't. Yeah, he doesn't have enough hair to like cut it short and spike it again, or does?
Oh, there we
Yeah.
go.
Here's Cole. Hey, Cole's back.
Hey.
Sorry, my internet is terrible where I'm at.
That's all right. You posed in a good spot. It looks like you're smiling at us. So it's all good. So it comes to you with the best surprise of the year, Cole. What do you?
So I just chose Winter's Coming. That whole episode with Sting coming out and Tony Schiavone with his "It's Sting," and the first time on TNT in 18 years. That was amazing. And then to cap it all off with Don Callis, you'll find out on Tuesday nights. Or on next Tuesday night, I was like, oh my God, like, are we having the invasion we all wanted back in 2001?
Yeah.
But no, that whole episode, I think, just those two events really were like the big surprising moments of the year.
That episode, Winter's Coming, it was the first episode of like television wrestling that really made me feel like I did back in the Nitro Raw era. Like it's been a long time. Like maybe the only other ones I can think of is maybe that CM Punk pipe bomb. Or when Bret Hart came back to WWE in like 2010. Like other than that, like that was when I kind of got the butterflies in your stomach watching it, like legit excitement. It hasn't been too often in the like since like for me when I was younger watching it, right? Even though I followed it for the most part this whole time, it's not too often you really get that genuine excitement. So that's a great pick.
Definitely made me feel like a kid again. I've only had that feeling like lately with maybe some of the NXT takeovers, like when Shinsuke came and during that era of NXT, the Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, like that era, I was like really starting to feel like wrestling's awesome again. But yeah, that episode specifically, really, I was like, oh my God, wrestling's back,
Mm-hmm.
Good choice. Well, good explanations on that one. So it comes up to our last one, and this one was hard to go over, but it was almost a landslide for me. The best BTE moment or episode. So I get to pick first, which I picked an episode because all in all, and I think you guys know where I'm going with this. I was so into it. It made me happy. I laughed. I even dressed up. Cowboy Day.
Cowboy
Cowboy
Day.
Day.
Cowboy Day. Cowboy Day. Man, that was the best episode. And hopefully everybody out there listened to it. But man, I had so much fun in watching that. That was so funny. And there was a lot to pick from too. But it all involved Dark Order stuff. So
Yeah.
that was it for me. How about you, Eric?
Well, see, I did both just to be safe. So as far as episodes go, I loved Trent versus Silver, just because you have the first BT title defense, right? You know what I mean? And you also have PPA with his drinking behind the bar, and Daniels and Kaz doing their fucking voices. You know what I mean? Plus, like, that isn't that the first time they go the whoa Anna whoa whoa.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And you also have the debut of Matt Hardy's iconic character, right? So
Yeah.
for me, that was a great episode. But if we're talking best just moment in general, I would say my favorite moment is when they first they first introduced Griff Garrison? But when they
Yeah.
Who the fuck is
yeah,
Griff
it's
Garrison?
it might be that only because of the yeah, we have Jungle Boy here to recruit. And they
Yeah.
turn him around.
Hey,
and
fucking
it's
Jungle
Griff
Boy.
Garrison. That is the fucking funniest thing in the world.
Good pick. Good pick. What about you, Cole? A lot to go over.
Mine's both sad and awesome. It's this week's episode, Mr. Brody Lee. Just had all the best highlights of the Silver getting slapped with the papers and just everything that this year has shown with Brody Lee. He really that episode really captured my heart, made me feel both happy and really sad, man. Like that was a tough loss, man.
Yeah, well, good choice. Good choice on that one. What about yourself, Matt?
Man, yeah, like best moment, like the Dark Order has been so damn funny all year long. I couldn't pick just one for like a moment, but if I could just encompass all of the Dark Order gags into one, which is like what Cole was just saying yesterday's or today's episode was so great. Or no, it was on Monday, apologies. Yeah, it was very emotional, but it captured all like the great moments between them. That was really cool to see. But I picked a single episode and I went back to April 20th, and this is BTE 200. Nick Jackson versus Matt Jackson, and they have it at their house in Rancho Cucamonga, California. And it's pretty much a 20-minute Young Bucks cinematic match where like they brawl on the tennis court, they ride golf carts. They have a hilarious spot where they have the window from inside the house, and the mom just comes by and like pulls the shade down a little bit. You laughed at that. Nick Jackson does a swanton bomb off top of the roof through a table, and they recreate the legendary Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty through the barbershop window spot, which was awesome. They even had Matt Jackson dressed up in the Rockers gear. There's a Canadian destroyer into a pool, and the ref does a big dive in to try to count a 3 count in the water. Nick and Matt Jackson finishes it off with the thumbtack shoe that they use on Candice LeRae and PWG with an elbow drop off a roof through a table for the finish. 20-minute epic cinematic match between the Young Bucks. And I thought for a 200th episode, it was fucking shot at themselves at home with a cell phone.
Good picks all. 2020, what a year, I guess you can say. The pandemic, no, like less and less live crowds, quarter of the way through the year. A lot of good stuff to pick from. Just imagine, though, if there were fans around, though. That's the biggest thing.
Oh,
like how
I know.
Maybe our stories or our picks would change, right? Like wrestling is based off of fan reaction, and for them to do so well as a promotion in this year, and I'm not just talking about ratings. I'm talking about wrestlings and keeping the story together with all the bits and pieces that combine into what we see as AEW. For a year to realistically a full year to debut and do how good they done is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
The momentum AEW had at that Revolution show last February was the last show pay-per-view they did with fans. That Omega Page Young Bucks match that got such an amazing reaction, an amazing review. John Moxley finally beating Chris Jericho. He was about to go on. You were like literally weeks away from the debut of Brody Lee and Matt Hardy. And all of that was snuffed out like with the pandemic. And so it really is unfortunate of like, despite the lack of fans and arena atmosphere, they've done such a great job. It's only amazing to think of what it could have been.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll go from this year to maybe some predictions, or what do you guys think is going to happen next year? We'll start with you, Cole, since you're the guest. Will be nice. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, the thing that I'm most excited to see is this Kenny Omega invasion into Impact, and seeing potentially the new old Bullet Club versus the Elite. A new form of the Elite, maybe Young Bucks, Cody or something. I want to see something there.
Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler.
He is on a streak.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just really excited to see what they have going forward. They're really on a roll right now, and it's making me really excited. So yeah.
What about you, Eric? Do you have any thoughts of the coming year?
Yeah, I have a couple predictions, honestly. I feel like, because Sting's back, I have a feeling you're going to see him in a cinematic match. Now, whether that's Darby Allin or Cody or someone like that, but I have a weird feeling, because, I mean, he's an older gentleman. You can't really have him wrestling full matches right now, right? You know what I mean? I could see him doing something almost like The Undertaker versus AJ Styles. Or the Matt Hardy, the compound match with him and Sammy Guevara. I could see something like that still making him look strong, but also kind of keeping the mystique. You know what I mean? So
I totally agree.
But
I heard.
Sorry.
I heard. So I think they said that he's not going to be taking any actual bumps. So, that would make the most sense, is doing something in a cinematic format.
Yeah, you can protect them and kind of hide it with the camera cuts, right?
And I think him versus Darby Allin would probably be the best option for that right now, but who knows what they could develop over the next couple months, right? My other main prediction for the whole year is I have a feeling by the end of next year, Hangman's champion. I just have a weird feeling. And but only if Kenny Omega is still holding the belt at the time. I think they need to kind of close off that story angle by the end of next year. If not, then you could carry it on, but I think that would be your best conclusion for it, is Hangman finally beating him and finally not feeling like a loser. You know what I mean? You need
his redemption.
Yeah, you need some sort of redemption with him.
He goes to AA, stops drinking.
Yeah.
I can't stop drinking. He can't stop drinking. No.
That's ludicrous. Not cowboy shit, I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
He becomes a banker.
There you go. How about you, Matt? What do you think?
I'm going a little more out there on this one just because I want to wish it into existence. And also, based on a recent appearance on Renee Paquette, John Moxley's wife's podcast, CM Punk will return to pro wrestling this year in AEW. He was on the show, and don't quote me, I'm paraphrasing, but it was essentially what it would take for him to come back is great creative and even bigger money. And Tony Khan, you're telling me he can't come up with the cash, because he can, and the creative, it's okay, Tony, Cody, CM Punk, get in a room, come up with what you want to do. And to me, if this Kenny Omega title reign doesn't end with Hangman, which it very likely could, or who knows, any sort of variation of this, but CM Punk versus Kenny Omega, after Kenny's been undefeated and he's won all the titles, he's now the title holding champion, and maybe the big money match in Chicago when there's fans back next September, CM Punk, Kenny Omega, that would be unbelievable to see. But
Cole's excited.
It just blew my mind.
I've been one of the guys waiting for CM. Yeah, I've been one of the guys waiting for CM Punk to come back since the day he left, and he hasn't. But his comments on Renee Paquette's podcast kind of swayed me in that direction. Because why would he go on there knowing everyone's going to listen and say what it would take? Great creative and great money. It's like, okay, well then what's the holdup?
Yeah.
But so maybe I guess it's been he needs substance out of his mind and behind him mentally first, and then say, okay, what's my next move? Where's my next paycheck? I mean, he's got money, he's got other ventures,
right?
But maybe something in AEW is more appealing because everything he fought to change WWE into, or at least influence, is kind of what AEW embraces.
Right.
So we'll see, but that's kind of my big one for the year.
Good choices, guys. I'm sort of going on a similar path. I want to see Omega go on this major multi promotion belt collecting thing, but I want to see it go on for a long time. Like I'm saying, all of next year. The guy that I want to see take it away from him, I agree with you, is Adam Page, but I want to see him. I want to see these other promotions come in. I want to see them going out to other promotions, do all this belt collecting, but the first belt being taken off him is AEW's own. That's by Adam Page. I can see what you're saying too, Matt, with CM Punk. I see that down the road, though, and hopefully it is in Chicago. But after Omega doesn't have that title, or maybe some Adam Page wins and then something Omega and that.
It could be a personal issue between the two. It doesn't necessarily have to involve the title.
Right.
It might even be CM Punk and Cody. It might not even be Kenny Omega.
Right. But again, sorry.
What if Hangman in front of a crowd in Chicago, and all of a sudden from the crowd, CM Punk comes and beats him up?
Good idea. We're writing for AEW.
The lights go out and Sting's in the ring.
There you go.
Blow your load in one show.
There you go.
I'm gonna shoot.
River.
Well, I guess there's our predictions for next year. They're all great. So it's been a long time that I could think in the future like this, because I'm getting really bored of the other promotion. I literally watched, and I'm a Bills fan, but I watched the football game last night and the other show. But I haven't even turned, other than NXT, I haven't even turned
I haven't even been enjoying NXT lately, to be completely honest. Like, they've just been bumming me out for the most part.
Yes. So again, it's for me to be excited for this upcoming year on what's happening is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Does anybody have any final thoughts or? Yeah, Brody Lee. Yes.
Pause
Go to
Brody Lee.
Pause up. Go to Pro Wrestling Tees again to get the merch for John Huber for his family for the next couple of years. But I guess that's the end of this show. This was our best of 2020. Thank you, Cole, for joining us, and everything else. I appreciate it. Hope to see you back soon. Eric, do you have any thank yous or anything?
Yeah, go give us a follow on Twitter at Dark Side of the E, Instagram at Dark Side of the Elite, and check us out on Facebook. We're always on there. Matt, do you have anything to plug?
I just want to thank Cole for coming on the show again. You can check them out on Twitter at nightwellca. And it's great to see you guys. I hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas, and I hope everyone has a Happy New Year. And here's hoping for a bigger and better 2021 and put this shit show of a year behind us. And here's to the future.
How about Cole? Plug yourself, buddy.
I'm on Instagram at cole.hardy. I'm on Twitter. I think it's _ Cole Hardy. I got that right this time, I think.
It's not Colin Hardy or no?
Yeah,
Cole and Hardy. And then the band's at Nightwell CA on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find it on Spotify and Facebook. So yeah, check us out.
Fantastic. And you can follow me on We the Dark Order 1 on Twitter and our Facebook page, as you can see everything else. But thank you guys for a great year. Thank you for doing all this and spending the time with us all. So I guess until next time, Cole, maybe even you can come in, join us. Bye.
Throw the paws up.